Hey, welcome back. Today we're going to be working on custom form field inputs in Flutter, specifically chip inputs. As you can see, this is going to be the example form that we're going to build, minus this little top portion. Right here I've got ingredients. And the idea is that if you need an unordered list of chips, such as a list of ingredients, as you can see, I've already typed eggs, garlics, barnacle. If we add salt, maybe I can add salt. When I press enter, I get a chip. Now, again, this is all with native libraries, no external libraries. And of course, you can always delete any of these. And if I submit, as you can see, the form will output the list of values. In this case, eggs, barnacle, and salt. There is validation built in, so if I, for example, remove salt and I press submit, you can see that it asks to add at least 3 ingredients. So let's go ahead and swap over to the code. The idea is this will be a code along. Let's go ahead and swap over to a fresh Flutter project. Let's go ahead and build this. Okay, so as you can see, I opened terminal, I typed in Flutter create, the name of the project, I went with ex2_formfield. This runs, builds an empty Flutter project. I cd'd into that project and then just type Flutter run. Now here I'm going to copy paste just some boilerplate. So I'm just going to take everything in here, delete, paste my boilerplate. Let's go ahead and import material.dart. Okay, and we're going to actually just take the full screen and try and zoom in. There we go. All right, so this is our basic boilerplate. Close that. And it still doesn't like this. Create our widget, of course. Yikes, remove that. Okay. So this is our boilerplate again. This should be pretty familiar if you've been building Flutter apps. We've got our import material, our main. We want it to run our my app, which will just create a material app using the home screen, which we define as a stateful widget. And at the moment, it won't build anything, or it shouldn't be building anything. Now, so of course, the plan here is to build a custom form. So what do we need first is, well, a form. We're going to go ahead and start. We're going to start with a scaffold first. This is, I guess, still boilerplate. We start with a scaffold. We want to put everything in the center. And then we'll get to our form right here. Now, one thing to note with forms is that I guess we don't need a key. And this is something I'm not sure yet, so it's something you guys can research. But we're going to go ahead up here and create a form key, which is going to be a global key of form state. And we're going to assign the form a form key. Now, okay. Real quick, we're going to add a little padding. We want to make sure our if I'm looking up at the code. Just trying to make sure the writing is smooth. So padding, we're going to set 32 all around, which is our humble attempt at any sort of prettiness. And then a single file column. We're going to try and shrink this. We don't want to expand it as much as possible. We'll let it be shrink wrapped. And of course, I don't think I need that, but okay. And we have our children. Okay, finally. So first things first. Oh, there's one last thing. We do want our submit button. Well, we can hit that later. Okay, so we're going to be creating a form field. So we're going to go over here. I'm using Android Studio. Okay, we don't need that much space. Go in here, and we're going to create our Dart file. We're going to jump right into creating our custom form field. We're going to create a Dart. I'm going to call this multi-selection, as I'm going to call it a multi-selection form field. And we're just going to call it multi-selection underscore FF, FF for form field. Enter. Okay. Now we're here. Gonna zoom in a little bit. We're going to import our material. All right. So, what do we have here? So in this multi-selection, with a chip input, we know that we want a list of items. So that informs us that our class, which I'm going to call a multi-selection form field of some generic type T, should extend a form field of list T. Because at the end of the day, we want our form, we want this field to actually return a list. Now inside here we do have an input decoration, which I will come back to as why. I will come back to why we need that. We're going to go ahead and create our constructor here. So we've got a parentheses inside, a curly brace, and we'll start off with a key, which we won't end up using today. Our decoration, which I talked about briefly. If we don't pass it, we're going to create a new input decoration. And then the two important states are the onSaved method. So when we want to save our field, how should we do that? And secondly, our validator. So if we want to check what our form is correctly formatted, how would we do that? And then we're going to go ahead and pass these into our super. They are. So we'll just straight on pass the key, again our onSaved method, our validator, and in our builder, so this is the important part really, is this builder method, which the form field takes. And as you can see here, Android Studio is saying it returns the widget representing this form field. It's passed the form field state as input and contains the current value and validation state. So as you'll see, so as it said, it's going to take in a form field state, and in this case, since we're expecting a list, our state will be a list. We'll call it field singular, which seems odd, but it's okay. Have no fear. Our input decoration, we'll call this effective decoration. And in here, we'll do a decoration dot apply defaults for our theme. Would be theme dot of get the context from our field, and put the input decoration theme. I'm gonna be honest, I don't quite know what that does, but the reason that we have this whole input decoration thing is because when we display our error message, which we're typing in here, effective decoration dot copy with, and then we can pass whatever error text that our validator returns. We can actually Oh, the computer is slowing down. Okay, there we go. When our validator, as you'll see later, when our validator actually returns a message that there's an error, we can pass it into this input decorator. And that's what will present the error text in the material design format. Without this input decoration, we would have to come up with a custom way to show our error message, and it may not quite follow the material design concept. So we got that is empty. We fill in with field .value. Now value could be null in the beginning, so we do have to add that question mark in there. I'm going to say dot is empty. However, if field.value is indeed null, we're going to default to say that yes, it is empty. And finally, we are going to create our own another widget, which we'll call my multi-selection field. And this widget will actually display our chips. So there are two things that we are going to pass into here. One is our values. I know we said here that field is our state, which contains our list of values. So that's something that we want to display, right, in our chips. So we pass that forward with field.value, again, question mark. So if field.value does exist, we want to actually get the string, because we know that it's going to be a string anyways. So we can just do an e.toString and then set it into a list. Now if field.value is indeed null, we can go ahead and just pass an empty array. Now the second important thing that we want to pass is this value called field.didChange. Now didChange is a function here. So something that is unique to these form fields, as far as I know, is that when you want to update or redraw the widget, normally you would call set state, but in custom form fields, you actually call the didChange method and pass as a parameter your values. So didChange will actually redraw it. Will redraw your widget and update the values if you updated them. So and you'll see that as we implement this class. So that should be it. We'll add a semicolon here, and let's go ahead and create that class. So I'm again going to Java. We're going to create another Dart file, and this one, just to show that they're connected, we'll do multi-selection again, but this time we'll type out the full. We'll just call it field.dart. Okay, so in here, of course, first thing first, zoom in so y'all can see. Check something. Okay. Hopefully I didn't obscure anything with my big ass webcam. If I did, thanks. Well, we'll call it learning. All right, so one more time, we're going to import material.dart. Let's go ahead and create now our field. So in here, we have a class. We named it multi-selection field. It's going to take a generic, extends this one just a stateless widget. All right, and in our constructor of this, of course, we start off religiously almost. Okay, come on, okay, with our key. And we're going to, those two values, remember we had onChanged and values. We make sure to call our super and pass the key because yes. Right, so onChanged is a value changed of type list. OnChanged, and values is a list of strings called values. All right, and now you're going to add our build. So there we go. Remove the to-do because I'm doing that right now. Okay, we're going to return column. So we're going to start off with a column. We're going to do this so I can stay up here at top of the screen, top of the morning. Same thing, we're just going to set a main access size.min, keep it squished. Children text field. So before I get into that real quick, so in our app, which you saw, there were two portions. We had a text field where the user will type and hit enter. And then we have the second part under it, which is our actual chips. So the first part is our text field. Now, this is not too surprising, but this is just a simple text field. And in here, the main thing is that when a user will submit, when they hit that enter key, we want to take that text and convert it into a chip. So how are we doing that? We're going to use onSubmitted, create a callback here for a value. And what we want to do is when the user submits, we are going to add our value into the list of values. So now we've updated the actual list of values. And then we want to redraw the widget to show this update in our chips. So we're going to call onChanged with our updated set of values. So that is our text field. Now I'm sure there's other things you can do to make it pretty. We'll keep it simple. Here I'm actually going to define a second a custom widget, which we will call my chip list. We'll build. Trust me, we are almost done. We will, right after we define this chip list, that will be all the widgets. So we have our list of values. Inside, we will actually pass in a chip builder, and I will get to why we do this in a moment. So this chip builder is going to take a value, and we want it to return the chip. So obviously the chip label will be the actual value. Label actually takes a widget, so we use the text widget. And then on deleted, so this is important, when we delete the chip, we actually want to remove it as a value that we want to return from the form. All right, if someone presses they don't want salt anymore, we don't want to return salt. So on deleted, it actually is a function that will, as you guessed it, remove the value. And on changed, again, what happened here? We just made a change to values. We need to redraw. We need to now redraw the widget. So we're going to say on changed and pass in our values. So there's that. Now, comma, the semicolon. All right. And to be honest, we could have put this code inside the widget. And this is honestly, I think, a preference thing. I think I'm a college student, so like take this with a pinch of salt. But you could have passed onChanged into the list as well, and then actually written this function inside of my chip list. In this case, I did not, but I think this is just a matter of style or preference. Okay, so let's go ahead and build our last and final widget, we're going to go create another Dart file, and of course my chip list.dart. All right, you guys should be used to this now. We're going to import a material. Let's open it up on my second screen. All right. So our my chip list is pretty simple. Of course, we extend a stateless widget. Inside, we create a constructor my chip list, and we take in our two named parameters, which we stated before was this dot values and this dot chip builder. It's what we called our function. And in here we've got a list T of values and a chip, or a function rather, that takes in a type T, returns a chip. We call this chip builder. Now this is red because I don't have yes. Okay, and there's our build. Yeah, we can write it. So again, this is very simple. We're just going to return a wrap around a function which we will call build chip list. And what is that function? Well, let's go ahead and define it. This is going to return a list of widgets. Name it correctly. Okay, and in here we've got our list widget items is an empty array. Then for every value and values, we are going to add, we are going to pass that value into chip builder, that function we defined earlier and passed in, and then we're going to add it to our items. And finally, we're going to return our items. So what this is doing is simply for every value and values, we're going to convert that value into a chip, and then that chip is going to be added to a list of widgets that we call items. Those items will be displayed inside this wrap widget, which, as I understand it, should, as I understand it, should wrap around the screen so that it doesn't overflow, I think. Okay. So with all that, yes, with all of that, make sure we're going to go back to multi-selection. We're going to import my chip list, which looks like that. Inside multi-selection FF, wait, there's still an error here. I'm going to look down. I missed a semicolon. Okay, I missed a semicolon there. In multi-selection FF, again, we're going to import correct library. So that's what the import looks like for me. It looks like I also missed something. Input decorator, super. I am missing something, and it is causing pain and sacrifice. Chill. I missed another semicolon. Solid. Okay, so we have that. Now we've actually created all of this. Now let's go into our main and actually create these values. So first and foremost, we want a variable in our build value that will actually hold this list of values. So now I called it ingredients because that was the reason I created this whole form. I'm going to call it list underscore ingredients. Inside my children, yes, inside my children, we're going to go ahead and create our form field Did I create it? I did create a form. Form field inside of here. We're going to start with a decoration. So we're going to pass in our custom input decoration, and we're going to label this. Okay, stop slowing my computer down. We're basically titling this ingredients. We're also going to pass in our validator, custom validator, which is, so given, that's not it, given some ingredients, I want ingredients, this could be null, so question mark dot length. If it is null, just give me a 0. So if the ingredients is less than 3, I am going to give this error text, say please add at least 3 ingredients, don't be a cheapskate, and then null. I don't think actually there is a recipe I know of that takes less than 3 ingredients. If you guys know of one, comment down below. Okay. On saved, of course, we would like to save our ingredients into our state. Ingredients, so again, ingredients equals this, and we're gonna just say that probably not going to be null. Oops. There we go. So that is that. Now, of course, we need some way to actually submit this form, because otherwise this is quite a sad form. Okay. I see. Yeah, we can use elevated button. Yes. An on pressed and a child. Something that's annoying, by the way, is sometimes my tabs are like 4 and sometimes they're 2, and I don't know. I got to figure that out. That's probably one of the annoying things that I have left to deal with in this IDE. But anyways, focus. On pressed, if the form key current state, I'm going to force it. If it does correctly validate, then we are going to redraw it and set our, we are going to save our current state. And our child, we can just let this be a text and just submit. So that right there should be our submit, and we will save our state and form key. And last but not least, I want to actually see, okay, well, it's kind of weird that I did it in here, but it's fine. Last but not least, I actually want to see if I got my ingredients. So did my underscore ingredients actually work? So we're going to use a list view builder, because remember our ingredients is a list. We're going to set shrink wrap to true because we're in a column. So the column will require some size. Shrink wrap will enable us, I think, item count. So this is ingredients dot length, and then our item builder is a function that takes a context and an index, and inside just simply draw with our text, and in here ingredients index, boom. All right, now if everything works, we should have a little form. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to run this from terminal. Yes. Okay, so yeah, I just wrote did Flutter run. I'm going to go here. I'm going to press Command S for save. I hope that did something. That did not do what I wanted it to do. So we're going to go ahead and run it one more time. And cross our fingers. So as you saw, this was, I do want to credit, there are 2 articles. This is a good enough time to mention it as any. There are 2 articles that I referenced. One of them is a Medium article. Highly recommend if this is sort of your first time doing custom form fields. I know I kind of rushed through this a little bit, but that does go a little bit more in depth. Sorry, not in depth, but it gives you like a beginner overview. Link to the second article is written by a French guy, and I kind of use that as like a parallel. So, and here it works. I will get to this. So link 2 is by this French guy, and it's more advanced. So do take a look at that after this. You will see I did borrow a little bit of his chip input list. Unfortunately, his code does not run if you copy paste, but if you are building your own custom form fields, it is helpful as a reference. Now, ingredients, let's see if this works. Start with banana. We got banana. If I go with, let's add a few more, let's add like, I don't know, apple. If I try to submit this, you can see our validation works, and we have, because of our input decoration, our error text looks in the same format as our error text is in the material design format. Let's add a third ingredient. How about some orange chicken? Okay, well, chicken. Put a meal as an ingredient. Let's go ahead and submit once more, and there you have it. You can see in our underscore ingredients, we correctly received banana, apple, and chicken. So there you have it. Those 2 links this right here, there you go. This is the custom form field example, chip input in Flutter. And as you can see, you don't need a library to do all that fancy stuff. You can do it and code it yourself. The 2 links that I mentioned, if you want to take a look and use them as references, as I did, I will leave those in the description below. Thank you for watching, and I will have one more video about this topic, hopefully in the next few days. Thank you, and I will see y'all in the next one.